8:45 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news, edited by Lakshman Fonseca and read by Mario Vijayavardhana. The headlines. The President decides to appoint a special committee to accelerate the goal development work. Late State Minister Sanat Nishantha was laid to rest at the Rajakadaluwa Cemetery in Puttalama. The Nagapattinam and KKS passenger ferry services will be initiated on the 15th of February. The Education Ministry is to implement a single framework for all preschools. Upcountry services disrupted as a train derails. In sports news, the ICC lifts the ban on Sri Lanka with immediate effect. In world news, the UN chief urges countries not to pull funding over Israel attack allegation. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has decided to appoint a special committee to accelerate the Galle development work. The President visited Galle yesterday to observe the progress of the city's development activities. He visited the Galle fort and the adjoining areas and observed the progress of its renovation work. He emphasized that the task of moving government officers should be accelerated and that all the relevant government authorities should work together to make swift progress in this respect. He said the Urban Development Authority, the Department of Archaeology, and all the other related bodies should work as a team to develop the city soon. He also directed officials to make arrangements to market the city as a popular tourist destination. The funeral service of the late State Minister Sanat Nishantha was held from 1 p.m. today at his residence in Arachikattuwa, following which he was buried at the Rajakadaluwa Cemetery. The police said Sanat Nishantha's vehicle had crashed against a roadside barrier on the Kattanayake Expressway at around 2 a.m. on the 25th, after rear-ending a moving container truck. Following the fatal collision, 3 injured persons, including the State Minister, were rushed to the Colombo North Teaching Hospital in Dragama, but the State Minister and his security guard, identified as a police constable named Jaikodi, later succumbed to their injuries. The passenger ferry service between India's Nagapattinam and Kankasanture KKS in Jaffna will be initiated on the 15th of February. The Ports, Shipping and Aviation Minister said the Indian government has reportedly granted permission to resume services on the 15th of February. However, the official launch of the ferry service was held on the 20th of October last year, with the Cheriapani passenger ferry arriving at the Kankasanture port, thus resuming the ferry services between the two countries after a 40-year pause. The inaugural voyage of the Cheriapani passenger ferry was commemorated with a plaque exchange. The ministry said the Cheriapani is a high-speed vessel measuring 35 meters in length and 9.6 meters in beam, with capacity to accommodate 150 passengers, and owned by the Shipping Corporation of India. The ministry added the journey from Nagapattinam to the Kankasanture port takes approximately 4 hours and is priced at Sri Lankan rupees 26,750 for a one-way trip and 53,500 rupees for a round trip. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The Education Ministry is aiming to implement a single framework for all preschools currently in operation. The Education Minister Susil Premajayantha said it will be introduced under the National Education Policy. He expressed these views at the inauguration of the training program for preschool teachers conducted by the National Institute of Education. The program is launched under the leadership of the ministry to provide formal training to untrained preschool teachers. The Education Minister said a total of 34,000 preschool teachers in 19,000 preschools in Sri Lanka are engaged in early childhood development. The minister pointed out that there are only 6,000 preschool diploma holders who have received formal training. The minister further said that the national policy on early childhood development emphasizes the implementation of a common subject framework that is integrated with main objectives. Railway operations along the upcountry line have been disrupted after a special train derailed between the Kottagala and Hatton railway station. The Sri Lanka Railways Department said the relevant train was one that had been provided for the production of an Indian film from the 24th to the 29th of January. The train had reportedly been plying back towards Colombo after completing part of the film production when the incident had occurred this evening.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
The High Commission of India in Colombo is inviting applications for around 200 fully funded scholarships for Sri Lankan nationals across various levels. These scholarships are being offered for studies in Indian institutes and universities across subject domains. The scholarships offered exclusively for Sri Lankan nationals are for the 2024-2025 academic session. The schemes under which these scholarships have been offered are the Nehru Memorial Scholarship Scheme, the Maulana Azad Scholarship Scheme and the Rajiv Gandhi Scholarship Scheme. The High Commission of India said each of the above schemes covers full tuition fees for the entire duration of the course, the monthly sustenance allowance and the annual grant for books and stationery. In addition, airfare to the nearest destination in India and an annual grant for educational tours to various parts of the country, apart from several other auxiliary benefits, are also offered. Selected candidates would also be provided hostel facilities inside respective campuses. The selection of candidates is done in consultation with the Ministry of Education and the Government of Sri Lanka. The necessary details are available on the official website of the Ministry at www.mohe.gov.lk. That's www.mohe.gov.lk. Interested applicants and their parents are advised to approach the High Commission of India in Colombo via email at eduwing.colombo@mea.gov. That's eduving.colombo@mea.gov.in or the Ministry.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
This is Watchlight.
Dr. Dhammika Jala, the Western Provincial's Director of Health Services, says there is a total number of reported leprosy cases. Around 40% are from the Western Province. She added 69 out of the 173 children who had contracted leprosy by the end of last year are from the Western Province. The Colombo district is on top with 315 cases. Among the districts, 168 are from the Gampaha district and 116 are from the Kalatura district, she said. She said that children cause the illness from their older family members. Preventing the disease from spreading among adults is crucial, she warns the public.
Coming up, World News.
In world news headlines, the UN chief urges countries not to pull funding over Israel attack allegation. The WHO warns alarming 45-fold rise in measles in Europe. Meta introduces a tool to block nude images in teens' private messages. The UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres appealed to world leaders to continue funding the agency that aids Palestinian refugees. He made these remarks after several countries suspended their support following allegations that staff had taken part in Hamas's 7th of October attacks in Israel. The US, the UK, Germany, Italy, Finland, Australia and Canada suspended their support for the UN's Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian refugees after the issue. Guterres said 9 UNRW employees had been fired, one was no longer alive, and that the identities of 2 additional individuals implicated in the case were being clarified. While he said he was horrified by the allegations, which the agency is investigating, the UN chief said financial support for those in dire need should continue. UNRWA, which has 30,000 employees overall and 13,000 in Gaza, is a primary agency for administering aid and running schools and hospitals for Palestinian refugees in the Middle East, including in the occupied West Bank and Gaza. There was an alarming nearly 45-fold increase in measles cases in Europe last year, the World Health Organization says. Health chiefs are warning that cases are still rising and urgent measures are needed to prevent the further spread. Some 42,200 people were infected in 2023 compared to 941 during the whole of 2022. The WHO believes this is a result of fewer children being vaccinated against the disease during the COVID pandemic. In the UK, health officials said last week that an outbreak of highly contagious measles in the West Midlands could spread rapidly to other towns and cities with low vaccination rates. More than 3.4 million children under the age of 16 are unprotected and at risk of becoming ill from the disease. According to NHS England, millions of parents and carers are being contacted and urged to make an appointment to ensure their children are fully vaccinated against measles in England and Wales. Meta has said it will launch a new safety tool to block children from receiving and discourage them from sending nude images, including in encrypted chats later this year. The tool is likely to be optional and available to adults too on Instagram and Facebook. It follows criticism from government and the police after Meta started to encrypt messenger chats by default. They say encryption will make it harder for the firm to detect child abuse. According to Meta, the new feature is solely designed to protect users, particularly women and teenagers under 13s, are not allowed to use its platforms from being sent nude images or being pressured into sending them. It also announced that minors would by default be unable to receive messages on Instagram and Messenger from strangers. Earlier this month, the police chief said youngsters sending nude images contributed to a rise in sexual offences committed by children. And now the main points of the world news segment once again is the UN chief urges countries not to pull funding over Israel attack allegation. The WHO warns alarming 45-fold rise in measles in Europe. Meta to introduce a tool to block nude images in teens' private messages.
Development news.
The government is considering leasing state-owned plantations to Sri Lankan companies or Sri Lankan companies with foreign shareholders for the development of the food industry, including confectionery. In his speech at the Lanka Confectionery Manufacturers Association's 30th Annual General Meeting, President Ranil Wickremesinghe urged for the confectionery industry looking into intercropping with cocoa crops. He said that state plantations in Mathale, Kandy, Mavathagama and Dolaskaslanda can be used to grow cocoa. President Wickremesinghe pledged government support to foster thriving confectionery industry. He positioned the food business as a low-hanging fruit for economic growth and urged the sector to cooperate, innovate and move into new areas.
Moving on with sports news.
The International Cricket Council has lifted the ban imposed on Sri Lanka cricket with immediate effect. Sports Minister Harin Fernando said an official statement from the ICC will follow shortly. On the 10th of November, the ICC suspended SLC's membership with immediate effect on the grounds that the governing body is in serious breach of its obligations as a member, in particular the requirement to manage its affairs autonomously and ensure that there is no government interference in the governance, regulation and or administration of cricket in Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, England produced one of their best ever away wins, stunning India with a 28-run victory in a heart-stopping finish to the first test in Hyderabad. Inspired by one of the all-time great innings by Ollie Pope and a beguiling 762 from debutant spinner Tom Hartley, England set India 2-3-1 to win, then hustled the hosts out for 2-0-2 in the extra half hour at the end of the fourth day. Beating a team that had lost only 3 of their previous 46 home tests is remarkable in itself, but England did it with a vastly inexperienced attack and with senior spinner Jack Leach hampered by a knee injury. England recovered from a first innings deficit of 190. Only twice before in test history have they overturned such a margin to win. India have never previously lost a home test when taking a lead in excess of 100.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
People's Bank and George Stewart Solutions Private Limited has entered into an MOU with People's Bank to collaborate on a pioneering initiative for solar solutions in Sri Lanka. This partnership aims to make solar energy more affordable to customers by offering a comprehensive package that combines financial support and incentives. People's Bank will provide tailored loans for customers who are seeking to invest in solar systems. The financial patronage will enable the adoption of solar energy solutions by making them accessible to a broader segment of the public. Partnering with this collaboration, GSS will play a pivotal role by offering exclusive discounts on their wide range of solar products.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
And now in economic news, rail freight rates will increase from the 1st of February. The Transport Ministry says it has taken measures to amend the transport charges of parcels, goods and livestock transported by the railways. A gazette notification in this regard was issued today by the Transport Ministry and it will be in effect from the 1st of February. Finance Minister Bandula Gunawarthana said the amendments were made according to the Railways Ordinance Act.
Weather report.
The Met Department says showers will occur at times in the eastern and Nuwara provinces and in the Polonnaruwa, Mathale and Nuwara Eliya districts. A few showers may occur in the Anuradhapura, Mullaitivu and Hambantota districts. Showers or thundershowers will occur at a few places in the western and Sabaragama provinces and in the Gala and Mathura and Kandy districts in the evening. Fairly strong winds above 40 km per hour can be expected at times of the northern, north-central, eastern, central Uva and northwestern provinces and in the Hambantota district. That was with the report, and now the headlines of this news broadcast once again. The President decides to appoint a special committee to accelerate the goal development work. The late State Minister Sanath Nishant was laid to rest at the Rajakadulu Cemetery in Puttalama. The Nagapattinam and KKS passenger ferry service will initiate on the 15th of February. The Education Ministry is to implement a single framework for all preschools. Upcountry services disrupted as a train derails. In sports news, the ICC lifts the ban on Sri Lanka with immediate effect. In world news, the UN chief urges countries not to pull funding over Israel attack allegation. That concludes this news broadcast. You're with Radio Sri Lanka.